Dear students, today we are starting classification of materials. In some book you may find another heading of this chapter called sorting of materials. Suppose you have some coins and you have to find out how much money you have or the total value of the coins. If you group the coins into 1 rupee, 2 rupee and 5 rupee coins, it will make your job easier. Then what are you doing? You are sorting them into 1 rupee coin, 2 rupee coin and 5 rupee coin. So when you group coins in this way, you classify them on the basis of their value. That is, then grouping, then we can say as grouping similar things together is called classification. So by classifying things, we also keep dissimilar things apart. We can separate out the similar things from the dissimilar things by this process. So then, let us now see what are the importances of classifying things. You can understand the importance of classification if we give some suitable examples. Let us then go directly into some suitable examples. The things in your house, in your home, are the most common examples. You classify or group these things of your home that you have while arranging them. You keep the utensils surely in the kitchen, not in the bedroom. The books that you require for study surely are kept in some suitable shelf, surely not in the kitchen. Or the pillows or the cushions, the blankets are surely kept in your bedroom. So you would be very irritated if you find your shoes on the dining table. Surely you will not expect a shoe on a dining table. You will get annoyed, you will get irritated, and surely you will not expect the utensils in the drawing room. So the librarian of your school, for example, he or she immediately finds the book that you ask for. How it happens? Because the books are properly classified. The books on each subject are grouped together, and then within each group they are arranged in alphabetical order of the author's surname. It can be Atkins, it can be Bahal, it can be Chatterjee and Das, etc. etc. We can choose the left wall only for the Hindi books. We can choose the right wall of the room of the library for English book. We can choose the upper racks for science. We can choose the middle racks for commerce. In this way also our sorting can be continued. So classification is helping us to make a systematic study of anything. For example, both plants and animals are living beings, but they are different. So living things must be divided into two groups, plants and animals. Similarly, all plants or all animals are not alike. Hence, they are classified further. Such classification help us to learn about the process that goes on inside the body of different living beings. This in turn help us to understand how diseases develop in different kinds of animals and find cures for them. The disease of human beings and the cure for them are different from those of other animals, and so are the doctors. So in this way, a huge difference will be there between the diseases of plants, diseases of animals, and diseases of human beings. Similarly, the classification of plants makes it possible to study them systematically, and by systematic study we have learned how to grow or how to increase the food production. See in what way this classification is benefiting us, is becoming beneficial. Classification helps in another way also. If you know about one member of a group, you get a general idea about all members of the group. This is how doctors can treat patient without having to study each patient individually. Here also classification is important, is becoming fruitful, helpful. So let us now summarize the importance, the significances of classification. Why is classification necessary? We can answer that very easily. The first point regarding this question is that we can have systematic knowledge of things due to this classification. Second point, we can have a general idea about all the members of a group because of this very classification. We can know how the members of a group differ from those of other groups because of this very process of classification. So these are various important facts, various important properties which classification is giving us. Next is how to classify materials. Students, see various things around you. You can see various things such as you are seeing books, you are seeing television sets, you are seeing table, chairs, clothes, and so on. They are made up of surely of various materials such as paper, metal, wood, cotton, wool, and so on. These can be the raw materials for making various things. The importance of a material depends upon its utility, which in turn depends upon its properties. For example, you can pick up pins with a magnet because they are attracted to the magnet. You can pick them with a piece of wood or some other. You cannot pick them up with a piece of wood or some other materials. The ability, the property of a magnet to attract things made of steel is put to use in pin holders. So here we are utilizing this knowledge. This is why it is important to study the properties of material and group similar materials together. Let us study some of these properties. The first parameter which we will consider is luster, the shiny appearance of anything. You may have noticed that many things shine, that is, they have a luster. Materials that shine are called lustrous, and those which do not shine are called non-lustrous. All metallic substances, example of materials used for jewelry like your gold, silver, platinum, or the materials used for utensils like the stainless steel or the cutlery set, the water tap, the door handles and latches, The flower vase, surely they all are lustrous. On exposure to air, most metals lose their luster in the course of time. When we then say that the metal is tarnished, although you will acknowledge that gold, silver and platinum do not tarnish that much. Rather, gold and platinum remains unchanged, and in case of silver, if it is German silver, then only some blackish patch may arise. Otherwise, these three noble metals do not react with air, and hence they continues to glitter for many years. Now, the metal can regain, those metals which are turnishing, which are undergoing this oxidation process, they can regain its luster if its surface is rubbed with cloth or sandpaper or polished. Understood? So, the lusterness can be again regained, we can get it back. On the other hand, there are many things like wood, coal, plastic and paper which have no luster at all. We have learned earlier that non-metals are generally non-lustrous. Okay? So, on the basis of luster, you can classify materials as lustrous and non-lustrous substance. You can try to classify some things in your home also on this very parameter, and you can prepare a chart regarding which substances are lustrous and which substances are non-lustrous. Okay? Now, let us come into the next parameter, that is the smoothness of the surface. Yes, students, move your finger over the surface of a mirror or a stainless steel tumbler, and then on that of a stone or a brick or some sand, do the same thing. The surface of the mirror or the stainless steel tumbler is smooth, you will feel the smoothness, whereas that of the stone or brick or sand or even the black series paper, the Scotch Brite, surely you will feel the difference in comparison to that of the mirror surface or the stainless steel surface. You can collect things and classify them in two groups then. Things which are having smooth surface and those which are having rough surface. Surely regarding this parameter also, you can list down lots of things around you which are present, you are seeing in your daily life. You can make a column of smooth surface and rough surface as I named them. You can include under the smooth surface regarding this mirror, or it can be the stainless steel tumbler, it can be the tiles that you are paving on the floor of your room or the bathroom or the kitchen. They can be also classified. On the other hand, you can classify the Scotch Brite, you can classify the stone, various kind of stones are there, bricks are there, you can take one bowl full of sand. All these things you can classify according to the smoothness of the surface. So then we can now next proceed towards the third parameter, that is transparency. Students, you will read in the chapter on light that different materials behave differently when lights fall on them. Rather, whether light can pass through a medium or not, based on that we can classify materials into three categories. What are they? Transparent materials like glass, like some plastics, etc. Then opaque materials like wood, like cardboard, like bricks, etc. And thirdly, it can be translucent material like frosted glass, oiled paper, it can be the butter paper, the paper with which the butter is wrapped. It can be the tracing paper. Nowadays it is becoming little bit uncommon, but in the olden days photo album, if you can find out in your home, ask your mom and dad if you all are having the olden days photo album where we used to keep the black and white photo. Between each and every page where photos are pasted, you will see there is one tracing paper. Even when you buy any costly drawing copy, I cannot name those copy, I don't know the name, but those copies, those pages of the drawing copy also are having one tracing paper between each and every drawing pages. So now let us see what are the meaning, what are the definitions of this very material, transparent, opaque and translucent. Transparent materials are those materials which allow most of the light falling on them to pass through it. They are transparent material. As I said the example, glass and some plastics. Next is your opaque material. Opaque material do not allow light to pass through them. Example wood, example cardboard, example the wall made up of bricks. You cannot see from one side of the wall who is standing on the other opposite side. So they are opaque materials because light is not passing through them. Third one is translucent material, means the material which allows some partial amount of light to fall on them and to pass through them. Example, as I said, the frosted glass or the oiled paper, tracing paper, or even the glycerin soap, which after using for several times, which become thinnest. That thinnest layer of glycerin soap is also acting as a translucent material. So this is about the transparency. Now next we can go into the next parameter, that is hardness. You cannot change the shape of a hard material by pressing it or cut it easily. In contrast, you can easily change the shape of a soft material by pressing it or stretching it. You can also cut it easily. Hard materials are used to make vehicles, machines and furnitures, while soft materials are used to make cushions, to make cloths, etc., etc. Hardest substance, I think you know from GK book also, we consider diamond as the hardest substance. Clear? So in this way, hardness is also another parameter based on which we can classify materials. So students, I think we have discussed a lot today. So if we repeat the part we have discussed, today we have discussed first of all the meaning of classification of materials. With the help of examples, we have tried to explain that. Then we have tried to explain the various significances of classification. What are the importances, what are the advantages that we receive from classification. And then we started classifying materials based on certain parameters. Today we have discussed about the parameters like luster, we have discussed about smoothness of the surface, we have discussed about transparency, and last but not the least, today, for today's discussion, we have discussed at last about hardness. So these are the things today we have discussed. In our next part, we will continue our discussion because many more parameters for classifying substances are still left out. We will discuss about them and then we can go into the final part of the chapter. We can try to classify, we can give some homework to you all also regarding the classifying of these very substances. So let us end up today here. We'll continue this part in the next day. So till then, goodbye.